feel like I should break out my announcer voice. Welcome to the Pulse, because we have got a UFC legend and a businessman joining us today. I'm happy, thrilled to be joined by Sugar Rashad Evans. Welcome, sir. How are you today?
Bill, I am great, man. I am great. Just enjoying this South Florida hot weather so far.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but not that long ago, you came out of a pretty significant retirement. So we got to call you current fighter still?
Well, yeah, I guess, but I'm still kind of on the retire side. I kind of just did that to kind of clean some things out of the proverbial basement, but I think I may be really done now.
Oh, really? So that was enough? You just didn't want to go out like you did before?
Yeah, I just had to get a win under my belt so I can go out with my head held high.
There's always the question, why? Like, you were a star wrestler, collegiate wrestler. Were you that guy? Like, were you the guy getting into fights, the aggressive? Like, how'd you get down this path?
I'm a very competitive person from being in wrestling. So that kind of edged the competitive drive. But when it came to fighting, it just seemed like something very natural to me, like something as if like it was like an evolution of my wrestling. It was just the next phase of it. And the first time I started to compete in the mixed martial arts, I felt the biggest challenge, which was an internal challenge, which, it challenged me in ways that no sport ever did before.
I don't think most people get it, like what that is when it is two people locked in a cage, that kind of ultimate combat. Like, help us to understand what that feels like. That's scary, adrenaline, what?
It's very scary. It's very scary, but you're overcoming yourself and you learn to face yourself. And I always tell myself, it was never about me facing the opponent in the cage. I was always facing myself. And, the opponent was just different ways that the challenge manifested and ways that I had to really challenge myself and meet that challenge in front of me. So it was always just a personal journey. And that's what I miss most about fighting, was just the personal journey that I went through on the way to get to the octagon and step into the cage, because there's been many times where I'm sitting in the back room and I'm just about to walk out and I'm looking at the audience and I'm just like feeling just all this adrenaline. I'm just like, man, I don't, what am I doing? I got to find something else better to do. But then there's the other side of me that's up for the challenge, that was just like, this is what you're called to do. And going through that whole roller coaster of emotion was really what the whole fight was about for me, just being able to conquer myself.
I trained Muay Thai for a while, never fought, never wanted to, like didn't have that same feeling that you have. But going through that, you viewed life differently. It was like, if I can get through this, there's not a lot, even the training. Like, I started seeing life in rounds. This meeting's only got like 5 rounds left. I'm all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the most important thing about it, is the fact that, you're taking these skills that you learn from fighting and you're applying them to whatever it needs, wherever you need to in life. But you're really learning the fact that there's just a resilience, that you have to have, and a grit that you have to stomach a lot of things in life. And because I've had that experience of just having to, just grin and bear it and just really have to fight myself and fight my resolve, I've learned to stomach through a lot of situations that really give people a hard time.
You went out with a win, looked good. What were you, 41, 42 when you took the last fight?
42. Yeah, 42.
So went out with a win. Have you had a chance to process the career, fighting legends, being being a legend, being in the UFC Hall of Fame, now that you're actually done?
I get a glimpse every once in a while. I got a glimpse of it once I was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. And, another glimpse once I won my last fight. But it's just more or less just kind of, an appreciation of just, from everybody around me, just like letting me know what my fight meant to them. And that's when I really truly put things in perspective, because it's one thing to go out there and fight for myself and have, the internal challenge that it brings. But it's also another thing to be able to inspire people, to be able to be that person to inspire people and give people hope in a lot of situations. For me, what was the biggest highlight of my career.
What's that like? Like, you fought legends, you beat legends, you're coming out with 20,000, 30,000 people cheering your name, but knowing you're about to go into the cage where it could go really well, or you could potentially not remember what happened. Like, what's that like, taking that walk?
It's scary. It's beyond scary, to be honest, because you don't know what's on the other side of it. And if you had the experience of having lost a few times, you know what that feels like. So you're doing anything in your power to not feel that way. But then you truly know that there's a part of the whole scenario that's out of your control, and that's the part that you have to accept. You have to make friends with the fact that you don't know what's going to happen, but being able to make friends with it, being able to just truly let go and allow yourself to just trust in your performance is where the magic truly is. And it's really where you get the biggest growth as a person, because you learn to trust yourself on another level.
I've watched some of fights. I've watched you knock people cold, but I've also seen some of the challenging fights for you. And
Yeah.
I always wondered, in the ultimate man versus man, woman versus woman, regardless, what's that feel like?
It's the highest of the highs and lowest of the lows, and those lows can be pretty low because we spend 10 to 8 weeks training for one specific fight, and when it doesn't go your way, it's just like you threw away a whole entire season. And when you lose a fight, it's a big deal, and it hurts a lot, because as a fighter, even though it may not be true, even though you may not, people may not be thinking this about your performance, but you only feel as good as your last fight. And if you went in there and you laid an egg, then you feel like trash until you get a chance to redeem yourself. So that's why you see a lot of fighters, they lose a fight and then they'll jump right back in and try to get that win back, just because walking around with that stain of a loss, it does something to your pride. And it's hard, but that's another thing that you have to overcome in yourself, to realize that you are not the fight. You got to be able to learn how to divorce yourself from that, and still be able to allow you to perform as an athlete, but then allow you to be a person outside of that.